Okay, let's talk candidly about engines. Now, at this level, these trucks are expected to work, and I suspect a lot of people believe that all you have to do is just add more power. If it were only that easy. This is why other people do it in different ways. This is the Power Stroke 6.4-liter diesel. This is a big engine, and it is all about power, but it has other responsibilities. It needs to be efficient, it needs to be tailpipe clean, and it needs to have drivability, and we're going to touch on each one of those. Now, in World War II, the big way to make power is to take an engine and add a big, huge turbocharger to it. Take a lot of atmosphere, compress it into those cylinders, and make big power. Well, with an airplane, you're going generally one speed. That turns out not to be true with a car. We need drivability. So Ford comes up with a different approach. They go with what they call a dual sequential turbos. And it gets trickier yet. Not only do they use two, and I'll tell you in a second why, they actually make one of them electronically variable. We'll get into it. Nick, Dave, if I could I get you to take that off of there for me, please? Now, I would do this, folks, but it'd be showing off, and you know, that would be good for one take. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that very much. This is the mechanism that sits on top of the engine, and this is really a process of evolution. Here's what I'm talking about. We know that you can make big power with a turbo. The problem is it destroys the drivability. I mean, if life was always about being on the open highway and towing at one speed, you'd be golden. Problem is, life's not like that. So to add drivability, there's a small one and a big one. The small one spools up very quickly. That gets rid of what we call throttle lag. And to make it even more efficient, Ford has actually made it electronically controllable. They can actually change the physical size of its volume electronically. That then feeds the second and big one. So you're sitting at a stoplight, you're fully loaded up, it turns green, you tip into the throttle or pick the gas pedal up, boom, you've got drivability right now. That was one of the big part of the process of making this engine not only powerful, but efficient and drivable as well. On the topic of efficient, and another delta they wanted to accomplish, they wanted it to be quiet as well. So they came up with a piezo, hard to say, funny name, but boy, sophisticated part, piezo fuel injector. See, when you deal with diesel fuel, it's much thicker than gasoline, and the trick to fuel delivery is the atomization. How can you mist it in there? So this thing literally makes up to 5 mists per cycle. Very, very powerful stuff, and very efficient. The other key to this thing, it's buried down deep inside the block, so it's quieter as well, and I'll demonstrate that in a bit. But every time you make power, you gain other challenges, and there's other ways to make it happen. Case in point, okay, we know a turbo adds power. We know that 2 turbos improves drivability. We've also learned that if you cool the fuel and cool the air that the engine's actually inhaling, it gets even more powerful and more efficient and cleaner at the tailpipe as well. Now, you make more power, you make more heat, and durability is certainly important to this customer. So Ford has tested over 600 engines and nearly 10 million miles of durability deltas to make sure this engine's strong. This water pump, 50% larger than last time. 50%. The volume of the water this thing moves is monstrous. Huge impeller, big water or coolant going through the engine, and to support long-term durability there, guess what? This is the actual shaft inside of that motor. This thing is stout and a huge bearing to carry the load. Okay, now you made that power. Wonder where all that power is going. We got it to the pistons. Now we got to get it to the bottom end of the engine because that's what's going to get it to the rear wheels. Well, that kind of load can be huge. For long-term durability, well, this is the bearing half that comes out of the Dodge engine. As you can see, it's a 2-bolt system, and the bearings for these cranks would be right inside of here. Frankly, pretty small. Chevrolet stepped it up significantly. It's not only larger, they use 4 bolts to control it. They want the stability of that being in there. And that's good stuff. I see the marked improvement. But let's take evolution a real rapid step forward. Why don't we just go ahead and go with a bed plate? Put all the bearings in one big, huge, monstrous surface and gain a lot of control over what happens on the bottom part of the engine. That's why I said 10 million miles of durability. So if we know our goals are better fuel efficiency, certainly cleaner tailpipe emissions, enhanced drivability, and ultimately a quieter motor, how about another little perk? How about one that will start at minus 20 degrees? Something diesels aren't exactly famous for. Next time you're in a restaurant drive-thru and you can talk into the speaker and actually be heard, think about just how quiet that engine actually is. Oh, then throw in the power and efficiencies. That's a winning combination.